Hey everybody, this is Tracy here for another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here to do Afterthoughts after the show, episode 4. And if this is your first time catching one of these videos, it's basically just random thoughts that I have after I finish watching a particular TV show, and I just come and do a compilation of those into a video. So let's go ahead and get started. So first up is Real Housewives of Atlanta. So the fallout from the reunion continues, and on TMZ yesterday, they reported that a source that is close to Phaedra has revealed that Phaedra is upset that a portion of her response to Andy's question, where did you get the info on Candy from, was edited out. Now, if some of you remember when the story first broke that Phaedra was allegedly fired from the show several months ago, people were saying that not only was Phaedra fired from the show, but one of the producers, a guy named Carlos Green, was also fired from the show. So now mainstream media is picking up this story, even though we heard it, a while ago. So I guess Carlos is the person that Phaedra is talking about, or this friend says that Phaedra is talking about. Phaedra was looking like, the cat had her tongue when Andy was asking those questions, but there was some editing going on, and she had actually said that one of the producers fed her the story, and that she had no reason to believe that it wasn't true because it was a producer of the show. And so that's why she repeated it to Portia, and of course she didn't know that Portia was going to go back and say anything to Candy, and that's how all of this got started. So she feels like they're trying to make her a scapegoat and make her look bad, when in reality the information actually came from the show. And then the other ladies, they're going around. I think Kenya was on the Breakfast Club, and then Sheree did an interview. So I think it's all a part of keeping the story going during the off season until they come back for the new season. So they're just going to keep coming out with these little tidbits and these stories and these interviews. And if you pay close attention, you'll notice that Bravo nor Phaedra have come out and officially said that she's fired from the show. All this is sources that are coming out saying that she was fired from the show, and people are rolling with it. So September, I think they're supposed to start filming again. Yeah, I think in a couple of months they're going to be filming again. So we'll find out then if Phaedra is coming back or not, or maybe Bravo will break their silence and come out and say that they did indeed fire Phaedra. But I really don't think it matters whether Phaedra comes back or not, because they're trying to bring back Nene and Kim, and I think that's just going to be a total fiasco when it's all said and done. So now's the season where the networks are announcing which shows are canceled and which ones are going to be renewed. So it's been confirmed that one of my favorite shows has officially been canceled, and there are others, that may be on the chopping block as well. So ABC has given the axe to American Crime, which is a show that never had really good ratings, but the CEO of ABC liked the show, and they won several awards for the show, but they just couldn't get the viewership up. So I guess technically they have axed that show. And if you haven't watched American Crime, try to catch up on it, and I also recap those on my channel, so you can also find out about them on A View from Tracy's Point. And it's also rumored that season 7 would be the final season for Scandal. So one more season, and after 2018, Scandal should be going away. And I'm not mad, because I have never fully been able to get into Scandal, and I think like this past season, they have just been all over the place making up stuff as they go along. So it's probably time for it to slowly but surely fade on out into the pastures. And then Fox canceled the series Rosewood, which starred Morris Chestnut, but I don't think anybody was surprised by that, especially after they moved it to Friday nights, because They move you to Friday nights, and then it's pretty much a wrap after that because nobody's really home watching television on Friday nights. So it's also rumored that Fox will not be bringing back 24 Legacy nor Shots Fired. And I can't believe that either one of these shows would be getting the axe because they are both very, very good, very well written, very well acted. But I guess if people weren't tuning in, it doesn't matter. And I'm really surprised about, well, I'm surprised about both of them, but Shots Fired actually only received like half of the viewership that Empire received. So I think Shots Fired between the demographics of 18 to 49 was getting like 3 million viewers, whereas Empire was getting close to 7 million viewers per episode. So that's a big gap of people that wasn't bothering to tune into Fox leading up to the airing of Empire. And then last, we have Underground may not be coming back because the WGN channel has been sold, and the company that bought them isn't really looking at scripted television shows. And then they're saying that The Outsiders, which had a way higher viewership than Underground, has already been canceled. So there's not that much hope for Underground being renewed either. So what do you guys think about the shows that are being canceled this year? You know, especially the shows that have, you know, produced by Black producers, written, acted, you know, Black shows typically. And, you know, what do you think about them being canceled? Is it our fault as African American viewers that we're not supporting these shows, or could the networks have done more to market them to a bigger demographic that included all of Americans, not just Black people? And then speaking of Underground, what did you guys think about the season finale? I thought it fell flat, and the season as a whole seemed off from season one, wasn't exciting. And then in my afterthoughts last week, I questioned if there was going to be a love story brewing between Steen and August. You know, now that they've kind of like bridge this gap, and you know, when the slave catcher is threatening suicide and you stop him from doing that, there has to be something going on. And it looks like the two, you know, will embark on the journey together to find Rosalie and James. So if there is a season 3, we will be introduced to John Brown and the story of the Hopper's Ferry. And I was a little disappointed that Harriet Tubman's story wasn't, you know, highlighted more in the show. It was like they made her secondary to the central cast, whose stories are kind of like made up, whereas she is a real person that helped, you know, with the slave abolition. So I kind of wish, or abolition, so I wish that they had focused more on her aside from that 1 hour monologue that she did a few weeks ago. And then I think that they could have done away with Cato's storyline because it was so crazy and all over the place that we probably could have did away with that to make more credibility on the show and the whole role of Harriet Tubman. So guys, let me know what you thought about Underground this year. So can we talk briefly about Mama D and Rashida's mom showing up at Scrappy's singles party with the DNA test? Now, you know, Love and Hip Hop has just become pure comedy because that was so wrong. Rashida's mom, and I know Rashida was so dang on embarrassed. But on the flip side, why is Kirk refusing to take a DNA test when he forced Rashida to take a DNA test for their son Carter? But then you go have sex with a stripper and then wanna like be, you know, indignant about the fact that somebody wants you to take a DNA test. That just doesn't make sense to me. And then moving over to Waka and Tammy, I really hope that these two have found their way back together because I don't like how they're portraying Tammy on this season. Like, I like the part about her being this strong woman and making Waka, you know, earn her trust, but the way they have her like hanging out with Tommy and she with the black lipstick on and green lipstick and you know, just being really ratchet and ghetto, I just don't think that that is who Tammy is. And so hopefully her and Waka will work it out. And I did like how he rented out the theater and then had the little movie of their life. And, gave her the passwords to all of his social media accounts. But truth be told, if I need to check your social media and log into your accounts to see what you're up to, that means that I don't trust you. And if I don't trust you, I really don't want to be with you. So I caught the latest episode of Rebel, and it seems to be continuing on this downward slide. And at one point I was recapping Rebel, as I mentioned in previous Afterthought videos, but I couldn't get with the whole, I was trying to explain it to my sister, and I told her it was like Coffee and Tamala Jones meets Barney Miller and Magnum P.I. It's like they're trying to do that structure of the old P.I. shows from the 70s and 80s, but then they were trying to throw in some Coffee and Cleopatra Jones and all of that into the mix. And for me, it just was all over the place, and they were just skipping over key things, and then they were hopping from scene to scene, and you were sitting there looking like, okay, what just happened? Like, how did she get from point A to point B? And we just don't know what happened there. So I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and then on Thursday night's episode, it was only 45 minutes long, and then people were saying, oh, well, it was commercial free. Well, normally when shows are commercial free, they are the full hour, but there's no commercials because they don't want to, disrupt it, and there's a lot of content. But if you're still just going to be like the average 40 to 45 minutes that most shows are, and not have commercials, then that means that the network is having trouble selling commercial spots for that hour that the show comes on. And it doesn't matter that the show re-aired right after in like an encore performance and commercials were on that part, because when they're selling the ads, they're not selling it for the encore, they're selling it for that hour when the ratings and all of that come into effect. And then I went to TV by the numbers just to see what the viewership is like for Rebel, and it is pretty much down 40% from when it originally aired. So in the first episode, there was like 700,000, well, close to 800,000 viewers, and now they're down to close to 500,000, but like in the 400,000 range. So Rebel probably won't be coming back, especially if it continues to decline the way that it is over the next 2 or 3 episodes, because I think that's all that's left to the season. You can check out my full recap of Shots Fired here at The View from Tracy's Point. And I love this show, and I just would hate to see this show go. So I hope Fox goes ahead and renews the show, because I think that it is a really good show. And 3 million viewers, I think, is pretty good, especially when you consider all the cable channels that are out there, all the original programming that's taking place, and then people aren't necessarily tuning in to watch a television show when it comes on. People are watching it on demand, they're watching it on apps, so the viewership could be a lot more than what is being reported through the Nielsen ratings, which is a farce within itself. And so I am going to try to get over Preston and Ash doing the do. That's all I can remember from last week's episode, because I was just like praying that this would not happen, but it did happen. And so with only 2 episodes remaining, hopefully it won't impact their work on the case. And was it like just in a moment thing, just Ash was feeling bad because she had to beat up Lieutenant Breland, and Preston just wanted to make her feel better, or was it more to it? And then I think that Preston keeps forgetting that Ash and his brother Maceo had sex as well. It got me to thinking that Maceo had asked him earlier if he had sexed Ash yet. So maybe these two have like a competition thing going on, and they are used to sleeping with the same women. Just something to think about. And then last week, I totally forgot to talk about Black Ink Crew and its season finale. And so one is Carly Red really trying to get up, trying to hook up with Caesar. Like, seriously, girl, can you go run after Jock and make sure he's doing what he's supposed to be doing? And then I was wondering, because nothing much was going on in either one of the Black Ink shops in New York. So are they now getting ready to move the show to Atlanta and just focus on this Atlanta shop? And then two, does Duchess really think that she's entitled to 50% of Black Ink just because she worked there and was dating the owner? Because if that's the case, there's a whole bunch of people that need to be in court suing for partnership in businesses that they help their, spouses or significant others or close friends build up to become successful. And then whatever happened to the lawsuit with Miss Robbie and Tim over there at Welcome to Sweetie Pies? Because that was a similar situation where he wasn't a partner in the company, but he was going around making business decisions as if he was a partner, and that is not how any of this worked. And so Duchess, I just think, is delusional. And then I'm wondering if they just manufactured this whole scene about her suing Caesar so that when the season comes back next time that she'll have a reason to be on there and bringing drama because they don't want to cut her from the cast. So let me know what you think about that. Then we have Iyanla Fix My Life, and the latest 3-part series of Iyanla Fix My Life is called Family of Lies, and it's about a 50-year-old woman who has 6 adult daughters ranging in age from 25 to 35, and I recapped this episode, and you can check it out as a view from Tracy's point. And what came to mind after I did the recap for part 1 was regarding the daughter Precious. So she's one of the 6 daughters, but she was given up for adoption by the mother. And the mother, we learned, was molested as a child by the people or the husband in the relationship of the couple who adopted Precious, which I don't understand why you would let somebody adopt your child who had already molested you, but I guess that just shows the dysfunction of the family. But what I was really thinking about is Precious is 29 years old and she has 7 kids of her own. And I was wondering if she is married and if her kids all have the same fathers, or does she have like several baby daddies? And then Iyanla pointed out that there is more to being a mother than taking care of your kids, and she is so right about that. And if the kids have multiple fathers, then Precious is more than likely following along the same path as her mom, except she is physically there and fighting to keep all her kids in the same household, whereas her mom, was letting other people take care of the kids, and she was out there doing drugs and whatever, and not, leaving her mom to be responsible for her children. And then the oldest daughter, once she got older, she was taking care of the younger siblings. And so I think that's going to be real interesting to find out. And I need to recap part 2, which came on tonight. And then the final part will be next Saturday. Well, that's it for me. I pray everyone is having a great weekend and will have an even better week. So take care, guys. Bye-bye.